Hi. This is a continuation on Brawler's bad matchups. I had to get a lot of player opinion to make sure that I wasn't spreading misinformation with this video. And that was especially true for Sonic. Luckily, one of the best coaches in Smash, Coach Ramses, was willing to sit down with me and explain a broadly applicable strategy to fighting Sonic. He broke things down in far more detail than I ever could have hoped to capture in my video, so I wanted to share a summarized version of our talk to make sure it didn't go to waste. Think of this like a bonus fuck Sonic video. A few things before we get into it. Ramses did draw out a lot of the stuff we were talking about, but I went ahead and turned those drawings into training mode gameplay for the sake of the video. Also, there are a few times that I'll need to provide some context, so I'll play and start explaining things when those situations pop up. And if it wasn't obvious enough already, please go follow Ramses on Twitter or check out his work on the Coach's Corner podcast. He's very good at going deep on Smash topics. Please subscribe, and here's the discussion.
Yeah, I think you've identified Spin Dash as the pain point accurately. I just don't think you've identified it as the pain point for the correct reason. And so I kind of want to explain why I think Spin Dash is a good move. So imagine you have like a stage, right? Starting from this situation, right? We have Sonic over here, and he's doing his like Spin Dash, side B. And the reason why side B is good is because when you release Spin Dash, it's invincible frame 1. That's always the case. But if you release it after like 20-ish frames, it doesn't do a little hop. If you release it immediately, it does like a little hop, and the invincibility is kind of like caught up in like the start of the hop. And so like it doesn't really move forward while it's invincible. But if you charge it, it just moves straight forward, and it becomes essentially like a safe on shield, invincible combo kill move with insane burst range, right?
Yeah, sorry.
And
I did think that the Sonic had a choice between hopping and not hopping, just like at any point.
Oh, no. So he does like the spin, and at a certain point there's like a visual and a sound effect, like a bling, and then that means it's charged, and then it just goes straight, and then it's broken as fuck.
Okay, I see. Got it.
And so there's actually like a way to fight Spin Dash that is like kind of okay. And that's the same way you kind of fight something like Bayonetta or Samus. And it's by getting in burst range. Do you know what burst range is?
Oh yeah, Brawler has a lot of it.
Okay, there you go, yeah. And so like burst range is the range from which you can unreactably attack the opponent. And so if we are in burst range, we could theoretically throw out a dash attack, and like Sonic would not be able to become invincible on reaction, okay? And so that's kind of the crux of pressuring this move, is that from this burst range, you have a way to hit him. Same for Samus. From burst range, you can dash attack and stop her charge. From burst range, you can approach Bayo and not get ABK'd. The thing that makes Sonic hard to fight is that Sonic knows this. Good Sonic players know this. And so what they do is they kind of identify the distance from which you can unreactably enter the burst range. Okay, so it's kind of like the burst range of the burst range. I call this the pressure position. And what Sonic does is Sonic, because this burst range is so big, Sonic is attacking you while you're moving from the pressure position into the burst range.
Right. One of the ways that I always looked at it, or the way that I tend to look at a lot of matchups, is sort of just weighing the two characters' burst ranges against each other. And in my mind, a character like Sonic has one of the largest ones possible, at least when you're not factoring the fact that, the spin takes a while. Like, he just gets to cover a lot more ground than I do, so I feel as if I am entering a danger zone before he is entering a danger zone.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think he shares this trait with a few other characters, most notably something like Min, right? I'm sure when you fight Min, it's the same feeling.
Weirdly, yeah. What ends up happening with a lot of those characters is I'm like, I don't want to like charge in because I'm just going to get hit before I can get to a part where I'm comfortable, so I'm going to jump in, and then I get like anti-air, especially if it's a character like Samus. Yep. And it creates a problem there as well.
Yeah. And so I think why people struggle so much against Sonic is because they're like, okay, I gotta get in the burst range and then I can fight him, right? Like it's like a 1-2 punch. And this makes sense because like this is true for most characters, right? Like intuitively, this is a very common pattern in Ultimate. You get into the right range, where essentially mid-range, where you get like an actual RPS with unreactable offensive options, which in long range doesn't happen too often. and then you fight. And so like a lot of winning the game is playing that burst range, playing that mid range really well, and really focusing your information gathering on how you're playing the burst range. What mix-ups are they using? Should I parry? Are they parrying? Are they dashing in, out? You know, like all the really cool nuance that you see in quote unquote like fundies matchups. The thing is, like, your focus in this matchup should entirely be on this bit of movement from the pressure position to the burst range. And if you succeed at this movement, then like kind of like the way you act it out against Sonic is very simple, because all you really have is like dash attack Fred. You're not going to jump in at this range. That would actually be silly. And so like it makes it unintuitive, because your focus is actually not on the range you normally play. It's not on the pressure you put on him. It's not on like all of the mid-range interactions. It's about getting into the burst range and the entire dynamic of moving from the pressure position to the burst range. That's what makes him so unintuitive. And so like one thing that I know you wrote down that I think is, and I don't mean this in a negative way whatsoever, right? Like I think a lot of people have different interpretation of how to play this matchup. Based on my personal experience fighting Sonic for 3 fucking games straight and coaching top level players, I feel like I'm really good against Sonic. Let's put it this way. And the idea of taking advantage of the negative disjoint, this is troll.
Really? All right, negative disjoint. So this screenshot is from an earlier draft of the hardest matchups video. I was originally going to talk about how Sonic's spin dash was negatively disjointed, which means that the part of spin dash that deals damage is fully contained inside of Sonic's hurt box. This has implications on how easy it is to attack the move head on, but as Ramses will explain, it's not something to base an entire game plan on.
So the reason it's troll is because, like, I'm sure you've seen Sonic's play before, and when he does like the spin, he can release, but what's the other thing that Sonic does a lot when he's in like spin mode?
He'll jump it and air dodge out or down air.
Exactly. So first of all, when you're positioning to contest a negative disjoint, you are not pressuring him to release the button at all.
Right.
And so if a Sonic releases into that nair, they are asleep or trolling. Or you're like Giga Jesus. Like you literally just like counted the frames and the pixels and you got the perfect spacing to both threaten him and nair the spin dash. Yeah. Which, like, if you're doing that consistently, like, okay, I mean, you're the best. You got it.
You're reading like too much for the amount of value you're getting out of it.
Exactly. You're just getting a weak nair. Like, what the? So like the thing is, we need to think about this from a perspective of like, okay, our threat is getting into the burst range. And so if we are threatening getting into the burst range, can we still contest the negative disjoint? No, that is almost impossible. And so if we're spaced to use the nair to threaten the negative disjoint, we are giving him room to cancel the spin. We're in a silly position looking to react to or looking to throw out a preemptive nair. And if they just run at us at that point, we feel so bad.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for him not to run at us. So what do we do? I kind of want to reconceptualize all of this. And so this is a strategy that most characters can use. I want to say almost every, but faster characters are better at it.
Well, that's good.
Speed is very important against Sonic. Yeah. Let's go into kind of like how to beat Sonic. So, okay, so here's a controversial take, and after his explanation, I hope you will agree. Final Destination is actually a pretty good stage against Sonic.
Sure.
Let's find out why. So let's go for like a generic like small battlefield kind of situation. Don't ever take Sonic to PS2, and again, we're gonna find out why. And we have Sonic doing his spin thing in the corner, and so we have kind of like the burst range, right? And then we have the extended pressure position, which is right around here, and it's this movement. Okay, now here's the thing, and this gets a little technical, just for the sake of completeness. An initial dash is about 10 frames for most characters. Reaction time in this game comes down to about 20 frames. I've seen 19, apparently 18 is possible, I haven't seen it yet. If you start a dash forward, by the time the opponent can kind of like react to the input, like the visual to forward dash, you have moved 20 frames. Does that make sense?
So I've moved like a third of a second's worth of time forwards. Is that what you're going for?
Yeah, but here's the cool thing. It's not necessarily forwards. So if a single dash is 10 frames, then a dash in, dash out is about 20 frames. It's 2 times 10, right?
Oh, okay.
It's a little bit more because a turnaround takes a little bit of time. But the idea is if you show a dash from this like pressure position to burst range, and you just dash in, dash out, like a very simple like dash dance, right? You're gonna end up right around the center. If they react to this movement, they're gonna release. So we're shielding in the center, and they have released their spin dash. What does that mean? Well, that means that they now have to do something to kind of like reset neutral. And so what can Sonic do? Well, we see Sonic do a lot of things. Bad Sonic players will like the jump into the up B.
That's not neutral. That's not resetting to anything.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if the spring hits you, they can like auto cancel the down air. There's some mix-ups here. This is a very, very popular mix-up for a while, but it's as you can imagine, it's kind of bad.
It's fallen out of favor.
Yeah, some Sonics will do like they stop the spin dash in front of your shield and then they like jab you, right? So they can like, you know, go for a jab mix-up. They can just go through you. This is the most standard option, and just go to the platform. And from the platform, they threaten like a run off fair or a drop through aerial, or they just go back to the corner and start up a new spin. Sure.
That's the one I think I see most of them do.
Yeah, this is the camping pattern. The other option they have is go into the air and actually start another spin in the air, and then like, you know, mix up how you use that spin. That's possible too. In other words, there's a lot of mix-ups he has here. Let's go back to our perspective. All of the ways in which we get hit here are, first of all, not that bad, right? We're getting jabbed or spring up beat. If we're really being hyphy, we're getting like hit by maybe a run of nair, which, I'll be fair, that can suck.
All this is assuming you keep your shield up for the spin dash.
Yeah, which like there's no reason not to.
Well, I do have a bit of a hiccup with this.
Sure.
Mostly because I go on UFD and that shit says it's +6, so I never feel like I ever want to block it ever.
Wait.
Okay, so this was a big misconception on my part. UFD stands for Ultimate Frame Data, which is the site that explains a bunch of numbers for each Smash character's attacks. Sonic's spin dash is noted as being, at worst, +6 on shield, which means he'd be able to act before his opponent when this move gets blocked, which is a ridiculously powerful trait in Smash. This might be true for when he hops right before hitting a shield, and he just starts moving away immediately, but that's not the case for when he skids to a stop, which he is forced to do when spin dash hits a shield while he's grounded, I think. Ramses is about to explain what Sonic would do if that skid animation was plus on hit.
Here's the thing. There will be no reason to jab you after stopping the spin dash if it was +11, because you just get a guaranteed grab.
Oh.
If you show me footage of a Sonic doing spin dash on shield into guaranteed grab, I will literally like eat a sock on stream or some shit. You know what I mean? Like that is not true. Like the reason they do spin dash stop into jab is because it's like it interrupts people. People drop their shield and get hit by a jab. If they are +6, they couldn't even drop their shield before they get jabbed. You know what I mean? Like
So that information is just not reliable.
It's not true.
Okay.
Not true at all.
That's good to clear up.
So the point I'm making here is like after they spin dash or shield, they have a lot of mix, and all of the mix is actually pretty good. Like shield drop jab is like, it's okay. They still have like a jab mix up. Jump neutral B, it's pretty solid. The up B is kind of sus, but if it hits, he gets out anyway. But the best thing, of course, is just go through you and get on the platform. And from the platform, there's a lot of movement options, and they can just go back and camp again.
Yeah, the best option is just to try again.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Like, we want to look at this from our perspective. We create the situation without taking any risk. What we did is we did dash in, dash out into a burst range. Like, we didn't even get fully into the burst range. We just feinted going into the burst range and then went to center and shielded. So in all of these situations, the best Sonic gets is to try again and not get hit. I guess the best he gets is to like jab you or hit you with a neutral B, but like that's, again, like these are not bad hits. What we're essentially looking at here is kind of like a 55-45 situation, where if we hit him, we probably get more punished than he does the other way around. And if they hit us, they get way less. And so while it's not like we're super likely to hit him, but interacting in this way is way more favorable than trying to like actually like call out the charge and dash attack him. That sounds like the worst way to win a matchup ever. And second of all, we've neutered a lot of his reward because we're not getting hit by the spin dash. And third of all, if we want to play this slow, we just hold shield, and literally like the only way he beats that is by like stopping the spin dash and grabbing us, which like if you find a clip of a Sonic doing that, I'm sure that actually exists, but that's like, we're talking like I'm game 5 or we've played like 20 times and I know that you hold shield, right? So the point here is like we've created a situation where if they overcommit, let's say they do mix up with a neutral B, let's say they do mix up with an up B, let's say they do mix up with a jab, then we get like a really, really good interaction. The other side of it is that they constantly just disengage to like the platform or the corner. If they constantly disengage to the platform or the corner, we can just play it slow. And if we get to a point where we recognize a pattern, we can actually start like chasing. And again, that doesn't give us a guaranteed punish because, you know, Sonic is fast and we're in shield. But what I can guarantee you is that if you know that he wants to go back to the corner and try again, and we drop shield and dash, we're gonna get there before his side B is charged. And if it's not charged, the invincibility is gonna get caught up by the hop, which means we can actually contest the negative disjoint because the invincibility is gone and it doesn't burst forward very quickly.
Oh. Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna think through all of that real quick. All right, if you can read him getting into the corner like that, and then start getting into the position which we were trying to get to in the first place, the reason why all this is happening, then he's not gonna have the broken ass startup charge that will let him charge through everything.
Exactly.
I do remember seeing a clip, I think it was from last Genesis, where Cola beats Sonic's by charging I've called this shit charging the mound. Like, he just recognizes that Sonic's is gonna get into the corner, and then he just starts laying down like side B hitboxes, and then it kills.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Now, there is one thing I want to add. If Sonic is on this platform and we are making a mad dash to pressure a possible recharge, and he does like a runoff or a drop through aerial, we're getting hit by a landing Sonic Nair, and that is not a good look.
Yeah, it just gets you hit by combos and such.
Yeah, exactly. So here's kind of like the flow chart that we've kind of come to. So like, let's say there's a spin dash situation happening. We threaten the burst range, which makes him release. Then we have to get through kind of like the spin dash versus shield mix-up, which is essentially asking like, do I think he's gonna stop and like throw out a jab? If we play this passively and they just reset, then like essentially nothing ventured, nothing gained. If we commit here and we're right, we get like a lot of reward. And so like, this is already like a favorable mix-up. Okay, then there's the disengage mix-up. And the disengage mix is essentially like, okay, is he gonna interrupt? Or is he gonna charge again? Like, let's call it a reset. This, again, if we play this slow, then we're generally gonna beat out interrupts because Sonic hitboxes are not amazing. And like Nair's like -10 or some shit. And if he does reset, then again, like, no, we didn't lose anything. And so in all these situations, we actually get to play it slow. That's the cool part. Like, if you want to fight Sonic, you create this like 55-45 situation over and over. You just play it very slow. If you eventually have enough information where you feel like you can commit to, you know, like chasing down a neutral B or chasing down a platform jump or chasing down a recharge on the corner, right? Like, if you feel like you have that information, you can commit to it. But if you don't feel ready yet, you can just keep playing it slow and you get information and information and information. And within the realm of spin dash, he has no answer to shield.
So this is the kind of matchup where you're not expecting to constantly be winning out these little interactions. You're not playing for damage, you're not playing for chip, you're playing for the information, and then you try to cash out. Is that the idea?
I'm gonna make it a little bit more complex than that. If you're fighting a good Sonic, they're not gonna spin camp you because they know that spin dash camping, it doesn't actually put any pressure on the opponent. And so a good Sonic player, if this is like the corner kind of situation, he'll stand like essentially like a dash away from the true corner. From here, I can easily dash back and set up a spin in the corner. Or I can burst out and like actually like threaten you with normals. And he doesn't have to use normals, but like his burst range is still, like his dash is still like big burst range, and his up air is rewarding and his grab is good, etc, etc. And so from this position, you kind of just have to play footsies with the fastest hedgehog on the planet, right?
It's also not great for, I'm sorry, I'm going to talk about Brawler specifically.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Brawler probably has some of the worst like hitbox range in the game. His burst range is huge, but the hitbox range, Sonic easily beats him out in that regard. Not great for trying to play footsies against him.
Yeah, and so that's true. I will say his hitboxes, like the ones that are bigger, usually are a little bit laggy. Like his forward air, for example, I know it like auto cancels on short hop, but that still means he's spending like a decent amount of time in the air. A lot of times you can just like drop your
fast fall it.
Exactly. So a lot of time, like he fares, you drop your shield and you dash attack him for it, or grab him even. I mean, grab might be a little bit ambitious. He can up air to be safer because he can fast fall that, but then like you can beat up air in a lot of situations. Nair, again, like Nair, it's actually pretty safe if he does it like all the way landing, but even then it's like pretty short range and it's often like -6, which means you can often just shield grab it. I agree that his hitboxes are probably better than Brawler's, but they're not like very safe. Like forward tilt is -20, down tilt is -15, dash attack is like -40 or some shit.
Yeah, he's missing out on shield safety for a lot of these. Exactly,
and he has like a good grab, but you don't want to like raw grab people in neutral, not Brawler at least, because if Brawler nairs you for that, like, oh, that's not looking good. To kind of summarize, I understand, like, you're right in that Sonic hitboxes beat your hitboxes, but the kind of like the package of like using hitboxes in footsies for Sonic is like, it's pretty limited. And so that's why when you see Sonic's plays, he's always like standing in a distance that I kind of outlined, and he's just dash dancing there, like for literal like minutes straight, because from that position, he threatens like up air, fair, grab, dash attack. He can start a spin, right? Like, so he's threatening a lot of shit. And if you're preemptively committing to it, he can capitalize on your preemptive commitments. And that's kind of what he's looking to do. The only reason I explain is because you said, okay, so Sonic is like a matchup where you play for like information. And so like, I want to just specify, like, the way you beat Spin Dash is by playing for that situation and information within that situation. And you just want to do it over and over and over. And if you do that, you're going to win out. The way you fight a Sonic who does a little bit of everything, it's way more intuitive. When you get Sonic to stop spinning, you can play like an extreme version of normal Smash. It's still an extreme version because like his speed is crazy.
Yeah, he's got fucked up burst.
Exactly.
There's a clip from Let's Make Move Miami where Spargo and Sonics are just, they're playing neutral across all of PS2 and everyone's like, what the fuck is happening? They're not doing anything.
Yeah, exactly that. Okay, and so this is a controversial take. You don't have to put this in the video. But I think Sonic, once you know how to deal with Spin Dash, is like one of the most like fun, like probably the hardest fundies character in the game. So the reason I think Sonic is fundies at the core is because you cannot use Spin Dash in different ways to solve the weaknesses of the move. So what do I mean by that? Well, Min Min can change the way she uses arms and essentially like have a complete game plan just within her arms usage. Kazuya can change the way he uses crouch dash and electric and have a complete game plan within that kind of like electric usage. Steve can change the way he uses walls and minecart and up tilt and have a complete game plan within just like these few options. But Sonic cannot change the way he uses spin dash and have a complete game plan because of what I outlined, unless it's a character that cannot play that way. And so like, the reason Sonic is funnies at his core is because he cannot solve the issue within his strategy of spin dashing, whereas these other like quote unquote not fundies characters, I hate to categorize characters like that, but it is what it is. The not fundies characters, they can solve problems entirely within their moves, within just like the sheer overtuned nature of their options. But
they can be a lot more self-contained.
Exactly. But spin dash, if you establish a counterplay to spin dash, you cannot, like, it's not like Sonic can spin dash in a different way and counter it. It's just over. Yeah. Now he has to do something else. Now he has to play the actual game. And for Min Min, it's like, oh, you countered my arms by jumping over them. That means I'm going to do jumping arms. It's like, okay, yeah. Congratulations.
One of the ways I have thought about matchups in the past is sort of thing one, thing two. Or like a Sonic would be doing thing one, which is spin dash, and then thing two, which is anything else that's not spin dash. And then Min Min just never has to go to thing two. It's just thing one in a slightly different way.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Thing one with a glasses with a mustache attached, and
that's a very good way to think about it.
Yeah, two things, one in a trench coat.
The fucking regular show bit where it's just like this is the same guy in a different outfit.
Exactly, it's the same fucking guy in a different outfit. I also think, like, low-key, like, burning dropkick is probably the call in this matchup. Because, like, if you don't get gibbed by Sonic, you probably live for a long time. I wouldn't ever press burning dropkick in neutral against Sonic. I just think, like, the difference between dying early and not dying early against Sonic is so big. Because of, like, his kill power is almost entirely centered on his offstage pressure.
For a pure safety standpoint, I don't disagree with you, but you know, Brawler already comes preloaded with feint jump, so.
Yeah, no, I get you. I just don't think feint jump is good against Sonic because of his up B.
Really?
Because
no, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, Like I used to think the same, and then I started grinding. So this was early Ultimate when I was learning Shulk. I was grinding Shulk versus Pelly, and I was just like, I'm gonna recover high with jump art, and then he just like upbeat at me and killed me. I was like, okay. I mean, I guess Sonic is not only fast horizontally but also vertically. So things like, you know, like feint jump, I think is in a similar boat where like it's good because if Sonic shows like the fact that he's gonna cover lowish, you can just go high, but he just teleports to you anyway with upbeat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what I more so think is important information is just the idea like, oh, if I survive off stage, this matchup becomes so much easier because like how is he gonna kill you without gimping you?
And I did have half a mind before to talk about the edge guarding on Sonic, but I didn't know the specifics of how Sonic's edge guarding was like broken, other than the fact that he was just really fast and can put himself wherever.
So the reason Sonic is broken in terms of edge guarding is the up B thing, right? So he can cover with low and high at the same time. It's just his speed in general is insane. But like the actual broken thing, and I'm sure you've seen Sonics do this, is when they do like a run off and then they side B into the stage. The hop is actually nice because it keeps them close to the ledge for a longer time. They want the hop, so they do like a run of uncharged side B. And so if you're trying to like Fox up B to ledge or like Mifra up B to ledge, he just hits you on true combos into back air and you die.
Wow. That's fucked up. That's disgusting.
And then they have like the spring, which they can drop down, which is like, it's not great, but it's annoying. And then they can 2-frame you with forward smash, which is another kill. So you can see like a lot of their kill options are limited, are kind of like tied to offstage. And if you avoid the spin dash, by the way, that's also something important to say. If you avoid the spin dash, you're also not going to get like spin dash forward aired, which also limits their kill power. So knowing how to beat spin dash and knowing how to recover together is how you stay alive for a long time. And then you can do really well against Sonic, unless you're something like Aegis or Fox, or Roy, which are funnily like her hardest matchups, but they're all really easy for Sonic to gimp. So even without spin dash hits, he can gimp them pretty well. That's why those matchups are like probably not even losing for Sonic, because even though he gets kind of bodied in neutral, he hits them once and then he is like some of the best offstage against these characters. It makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, I think I got a lot from this. This was very insightful. I really appreciate you taking the time for this.
You're welcome. Yeah, I mean, you look for information, but there's just like, there's no good information on how to fight Sonic. That's the issue.
Well, hopefully this will be the one.
I hope people accept it.